Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. If you are receiving Social Security benefits, or if someone in your household depends on that monthly payment to cover the bills, then what I am about to share with you in the next few minutes could be one of the most important things you watch all month. I want you to stay with me until the very end because buried inside today's information is something that catches thousands of Americans completely off guard every single year, and when it happens, it can throw an entire budget into chaos. Here's the thing. Most people assume that Social Security just shows up automatically on time without any surprises, and for many months that's exactly what happens. But June is a little different. The calendar lines up in a specific way this month, and that means the payment schedule shifts in ways that not everyone understands. We are talking about real money here. For millions of Americans, this monthly check is the difference between keeping the lights on and falling behind. So when there is confusion about when that money actually arrives, the consequences are not small. What I'm going to walk you through today is exactly who gets paid on Wednesday, June 17th, how the Social Security payment system actually works under the surface, what mistakes people make that cost them time and money, and what you should be doing right now to make sure you never get caught off guard. There is more to this than most people realize, and by the time we reach the end of this video, you are going to understand the Social Security payment calendar better than most Americans ever will. Now, before we go any further, I want to be straightforward with you about how this information was put together. This is not guesswork. The Social Security Administration publishes official payment schedules, and those documents were reviewed carefully. Federal payment guidelines were examined. Recent updates from the SSA were analyzed, and the specific rules that determine which group of beneficiaries gets paid on which Wednesday were studied closely so that what you're getting today is accurate, clear, and actually useful. You deserve information you can count on, and that is exactly what this channel is committed to delivering every single time. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is really the right moment to do that. People who subscribe to this channel are the ones who get these updates first. They don't find out that a payment schedule shifted after the fact. They know ahead of time. They walk into the month prepared. Meanwhile, people who are not tuned in are the ones calling their bank in a panic wondering where their money is. Hit that subscribe button and you'll always be one step ahead. Now let's get into it, because there is a lot to cover. Number 1. Understanding why June 17th matters and who is actually scheduled to receive payment on that date. The Social Security Administration does not send every single beneficiary their payment on the same day. If they did, the banking system would be overwhelmed, and the logistical challenges would be enormous. Instead, the SSA uses a staggered payment system built around birthdays. Specifically, the day of the month you were born determines which Wednesday you receive your payment. And this is where a lot of people get confused, especially those who are newer to the system or who have never had reason to pay close attention before. Here is how it breaks down. If your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th of any month, you receive your Social Security payment on the second Wednesday of the month. If your birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th of the month, your payment comes on the third Wednesday. And if your birthday falls between the 21st and the 31st, you receive payment on the fourth Wednesday of the month. So for June 2025, the third Wednesday lands on June 17th. That means every Social Security recipient whose birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th of their birth month is scheduled to receive their payment on Wednesday, June 17th. We are talking about millions of Americans, retired workers, disabled individuals receiving SSDI, and eligible family members who receive benefits based on a worker's record. If their birthday falls in that window, June 17th is their day. Most people know their own birthday, of course. But what surprises many people is that they are not entirely sure which group they fall into, or they have a spouse or parent whose birthday they need to account for as well. The number of phone calls the SSA receives every month from people simply asking, "When do I get paid?" is a testament to how many Americans are not fully clear on this. Now you are. But here's where things start to get more interesting, because not everyone follows this birthday-based schedule. And that leads us directly into the second thing you need to know. Number 2, there is a completely different group that does not follow the birthday schedule at all, and many people don't realize they're in it. This is the part that trips people up more than anything else. If you started receiving Social Security benefits before May of 1997, you are not on the birthday-based Wednesday schedule. You are in a completely different category. These beneficiaries, sometimes called grandfathered recipients or simply early enrollees, receive their payment on the 3rd of every month, regardless of what day of the week that falls on. Now think about who this affects. We are talking about people who have been receiving Social Security for nearly 3 decades or longer. Many of these individuals are in their 70s, 80s, and beyond. Some of them have never needed to learn the Wednesday schedule because they have always been paid on the 3rd. But here's what can cause confusion when a family member or a caregiver tries to track payments. They may assume everyone follows the same Wednesday system. That assumption can lead to real financial disruption if no one catches it. Beyond that group, there is another category worth knowing. People who receive Supplemental Security Income, commonly known as SSI, also operate on a different schedule. SSI payments are generally issued on the 1st of the month. However, when the 1st falls on a weekend or a federal holiday, that payment gets moved to the last business day of the previous month. What happens then is something that genuinely surprises people. They see money hit their account in late May or late June and don't immediately understand why it came early. Then the following month they wonder where the payment is because they already received it. If you or someone you care for is receiving SSI, this early payment situation is something to watch for every single time a month starts on a weekend or holiday. Missing that detail has left people in difficult financial positions, and it is 100% preventable once you know to look for it. And speaking of things that are preventable, what I'm about to share in the next section is something that costs Americans real money, and almost no one talks about it openly. Number 3, the direct deposit delays that catch people off guard and what you should actually expect at your bank. So the SSA officially sends out payments on June 17th. Your payment is scheduled. Everything looks fine on paper. But when exactly does the money actually show up in your bank account? This is where the gap between payment issued and money available can cause genuine stress, especially for people living on a tight monthly budget where every dollar is accounted for. Here is the reality. For most people with direct deposit set up correctly, the payment typically arrives in their account on the scheduled date, June 17th in this case, but typically is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Banking institutions process ACH transfers, which is the electronic payment system used by the federal government, in batches. Most banks and credit unions make those funds available on the morning of the payment date, but some financial institutions have different processing windows, and in rare cases a beneficiary might not see the funds until later in the day, or in some edge cases the following business day. What also matters here is whether you have any changes pending on your account. If you recently changed your direct deposit information, maybe you switched banks, opened a new account, or updated your routing number with the SSA, there can be a transition period where payments are delayed or briefly routed to the wrong account. The SSA recommends keeping your old account open for at least one full payment cycle after making a banking change, precisely because of how long it can take for updated information to fully process through the federal payment system. For people who receive their payment via Direct Express card rather than a traditional bank account, the timing is slightly different as well. Funds are generally loaded to the Direct Express card by 9 a.m. Eastern Time on the payment date, but cardholders should still allow a small buffer in their planning just in case. What can you actually do about this? First, make sure your payment information with the SSA is current and accurate. You can verify this through your My Social Security account at ssa.gov. Second, try to avoid scheduling automatic bill payments for the exact morning of your Social Security payment date. Give yourself at least a one-day buffer, so that if there is any minor delay in processing, you are not triggering overdraft fees. And third, if a full business day passes and your payment still has not arrived, that is the time to contact the SSA directly or reach out to your bank. Now that we've talked about timing, let's talk about something that affects a much larger number of people than most would expect, and it connects directly to how much money you are actually receiving each month. Number 4, the cost of living adjustment. You already received, and the calculation error that millions of beneficiaries have never thought to check. Earlier this year, Social Security recipients began receiving payments that reflected the 2025 cost of living adjustment. That COLA was designed to help benefits keep pace with inflation. For most beneficiaries, that means their monthly payment is higher than it was at this same time last year. And the vast majority of recipients simply accepted whatever number appeared in their new benefit statement and moved on. But here's something that most people never realize. The process of calculating your exact Social Security benefit involves dozens of individual variables. We are talking about your complete earnings history going back potentially 40 years or more, the age at which you first claimed benefits, whether any reductions or credits were applied. Whether you have a spouse whose record affects your calculation, whether you have received any windfall elimination provision adjustments, and several other factors that the average person never thinks to examine. Errors in Social Security benefit calculations do happen. They are not common, but they are also not as rare as the system would like you to believe. The Social Security Administration has acknowledged in past audits that overpayments and underpayments both occur, and the consequences in either direction can be significant. An underpayment means you have been leaving money on the table, potentially for months or years. An overpayment means the SSA may eventually contact you to recover money you have already spent, which creates a financial hardship that can be extremely difficult to manage. What can you do? Request your Social Security statement. Review it carefully. If anything looks off, if there are gaps in your earnings record, if your benefit amount seems lower than you expected based on your work history, or if you experienced a major life event like a divorce or a spouse's death that might affect your calculation, it is worth calling the SSA and asking for a full review. You have the legal right to question your benefit calculation, and doing so has resulted in meaningful increases for many Americans who took the time to ask. There is no deadline for pointing out an error in your favor. If you have been underpaid, the SSA is required to correct the record and in many cases issue back payments. That is real money that belongs to you, and most people never think to check. We are coming up on the final section now, and I want you to pay close attention because this one involves something happening right now that will affect future payment schedules across the rest of 2025. Number 5. What's coming next on the payment calendar and the one action item that could protect you for the rest of the year. June 17th is not the end of the story for this month. Remember, we have 3 groups on 3 different Wednesdays. The second Wednesday, June 11th, was for birthdays from the 1st through the 10th. The third Wednesday, June 17th, is for birthdays from the 11th through the 20th. The fourth Wednesday, June 25th, is for birthdays from the 21st through the 31st. If you fall into that third group, your payment is still coming. Do not let anyone tell you your check is late if June 25th hasn't arrived yet. Looking ahead into July and beyond, there is something important to keep in mind. The same structure repeats every month, but the specific calendar dates shift. And what catches people every single year, without fail, is the month where a federal holiday lands on or near a payment date. When that happens, the SSA issues payments 1 or 2 business days early. That early deposit can cause people to accidentally spend their payment before they've fully accounted for the bills that are due later in the month. It's a simple calendar problem, but the real-world financial impact is not simple at all. The one action item I want every single person watching this video to take before the end of today is this. Set up a free My Social Security account at ssa.gov. If you don't already have one, inside that account you can see your full payment history, verify your direct deposit information, review your benefit calculation, and see your projected payment dates for the year. You can also receive notices electronically, which means you will know instantly if anything changes with your account before it becomes a problem. This is not a complicated process. It takes about 15 minutes, and it is the single most effective thing any Social Security recipient can do to protect themselves from the kind of surprises we have been talking about throughout this entire video. The people who get caught off guard by payment delays, calculation errors, or schedule changes are almost always the people who are not actively monitoring their account. You now have the information to make sure that is never you. Let me bring everything together before we close out today because there is a lot to keep track of and I want to make sure all of it sticks. Social Security pays on a staggered Wednesday schedule based on your birth date. June 17th is the third Wednesday of this month, and it belongs to everyone whose birthday falls between the 11th and the 20th. If you were receiving benefits before May of 1997, you operate on the third of the month schedule, a completely different system that has nothing to do with Wednesdays. SSI recipients are on yet another schedule, with payments typically on the 1st that sometimes arrive early when the calendar forces it. Direct deposit timing can vary slightly by bank, and you should build a buffer into your bill payment schedule to avoid any overlap issues. Benefit calculation errors are real and worth checking because underpayments can be corrected and back payments can be issued. And looking forward, holiday-adjusted payment dates will catch people off guard later in the year unless they are paying attention. None of this information reaches you automatically. It does not show up in your mailbox. It does not appear on your television. The people who stay informed are the people who seek it out, and now you are one of them. Take a few minutes this week to log into ssa.gov, Verify your payment information and review your benefit statement. Share this video with anyone in your family who receives Social Security, because there is something in here for almost every recipient, regardless of which group they fall into. If this video was helpful to you, please give it a like. It genuinely helps more people find this information when they need it. Subscribe so you never miss an update, and share it with a friend or family member who could use this kind of information in their corner. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.